Hello. So this is already more than I thought it would be. So we're gonna go right into it. I have the SKT Revelation shuffled and put into three piles. Intro 0000, pile one. That is not how you spell pile. And then I forgot the E. Okay. Pile two. I'm gonna pull the first three off of the top of the piles of the revelations, and then I'm going to go through with the Vitruvian and clarify. I wanted to do one of those things that some people do where they're like, I've already pre-pulled the spread, and then I'm like, I'm just going to clarify it with you like live. Girl, no. She didn't work for me today, which is fine because it's late and I'm tired, but this is my preferred um, time, method, status of operation, apparently. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles. Well, I'll give it. Let's see if anything comes out real quick. Oh. Sacred Cinnabar and the Joined One. Ace of Swords, Two of Cups, Six of Pentacles. Abyssus, Abyssum, and Mokat. With this Six of Pentacles, the depths of me call to the depths of you. The abyss within me calls to the abyss within you. And it's like we'll receive up to our capacity. I'm already feeling like I should just do one of these. So I might have Big B. Just pick one, because that's a light. Excuse me, anyway. Let's give it a 3 cut. And then half. And one more of these. And then I'll get started on the first one. And we'll see how this goes. Interesting times, I guess. We'll see. 228. Oh my gosh. That's funny that it's 228 because my birthday is 228, which means my half birthday is 2 plus 6 equals 828. And then I was like, oh, like we're in Virgo season. I wonder when my astrological half birthday is. And it was 2 days ago. It was actually on the 2nd of September when the transiting sun was directly opposed my natal sun. So that's why I was like, oh, it's interesting that 228 is there because I was thinking about my half birthday before this. I was just curious what my astrological half birthday was. Oh, I'm at 3 minutes. Let's change this to 320 for pile one. And we'll try to get right into this and we'll see what comes up. So pile one. Ooh, the top card of pile two is like really slidey. So I don't know if you'll find something within the first card or two, or if it will follow from this. Archangel of Glory, the Shining Waters, and the Sharpshooter. Bottom of the deck is 3 cards. Fine. I pulled them, so I'll take them. Oh. Bottom of the deck is the Magus, the Priestess, and the Reaper. The Magician, the High Priestess, and Death is at the bottom of the deck. It would have just been the Magician, but I had a hand on all 3, so I took them. Angel of Art and Grace, Archangel Commander, the Space of the King of Wands, the Shining Waters, Waves of the Undine, the Space of the Knight of Cups, the Sharpshooter, 8 of Scepters, the 8 of Wands, and it's Mercury in Sagittarius. It's interesting because in this Sharpshooter, there's a shield with Medusa's head on it. Medusa's head turns things into stone, but the energy of the 8 of Wands is one that is like really fast, right? I don't think stone is necessarily that quick. So there's almost like an energy where it can like either accelerate or decelerate. It's like Piper from Charmed. How she could like accelerate molecules and cause things. Well, I guess accelerating molecules was after she decelerated them because at first she would stop time by slowing down molecules, but then she would make things blow up by accelerating them. This Archangel of Glory is interesting because it's not touching either one of these wands. So, because of that, it almost feels like there's an emphasis on the power of will of the Archangel of Glory and something about their presence. Now, the waves of the Undine feels like it's about bringing something up to the surface, and with scorpionic death at the bottom of the deck, it's fair. Right, because here's the Undine in the water, like bringing this water up, if you can see it. One hand up, one hand down. And it feels like she's pulling the water up from this sort of abyss. And then the sharpshooter is here. I guess first thing, well, no, I'll just leave it blank. We don't know what the sharpshooter is pointing at or is aiming at because she's the third card. The magician, the high priestess, and death. It's interesting that both the magus and the priestess and the reaper, none of their eyes are visible. Divine powers of the mortal spirit is the magus, which is on point. Sanctuary of Isis is the priestess. Isis is associated with rebirth because she put Osiris back together and brought him back to life. Oh. Oh. And then the Reaper is here. So, I wonder if any of the mythos survived that spoke of Osiris's time while he was dead. Because it feels like Isis opens a gateway, but Osiris still has to navigate the underworld to get to that gate and to reemerge into the land of the living. So now we'll clarify with these. I really want to leave the sharpshooter blank. And the reason why I want to do that is because it'll be different for everyone who chooses this pile. And I know that because the King of Wands is here, basically. Okay. Oh. Sagittarius, Saturn, and Sagittarius. So was that Mercury and Sagittarius? Yeah, Mercury and Sagittarius is the Eight of Wands. What's interesting is like the Eight of Wands is the only minor here, that only non-court card minor. Hey, Holly, how you doing? It was nice seeing you in Russ's for a hot second, and then Eve's for a hot second, and anywhere else. I'm gonna call you today. So in all of these, Mercury and Sag, the Eight of Wands. These are the cards that came out. It's the Angel, the Burdened One, and the title card. Sagittarius, Saturn, and Sagittarius, and the title card. So there is a pretty big undertaking in this energy, a very big one. And it feels like it's not necessarily as much. I was going to say it feels like it's playing on that energy of like you do something, but you get way more than you would expect or think. With this Ten of Wands, it's carrying the energy of like there's something that you're doing, and then there's something that the divine spirit universe, your guys are doing. Like this is a collaborative effort. Usually in the Ten of Wands, it was like hand it over to the divine can take it, you don't, or like at least use these beasts of burden, like you don't have to carry it yourself. But this is very much so feeling like a collaborative effort. It's a joint effort. um the King of Wands is given very much like Sage of Souls, the Archangel of Glory is given very much Sage of Souls energy. And the Sage of Souls is the one that knows themselves on like a soul level, to the point where they're capable of like soul to soul interactions. And soul to soul interactions be like interacting with truth in a very magician way. And the magician is here. The Knight of Cups. So it's like it's established with the Archangel of Glory. The Knight of Cups being the mover is us. Now, the Knight of Cups would be like the scholar of essences. So the scholar is the one who's like, it's like a an internship program where like you're enrolled in classes over the summer, you work a job that is relevant to your field, and you get to tie the information that you learn into the classroom and like real world experiences and applications like in real time. So like when you're going through the schooling process, it's really easy to think like when am I ever going to need this? When am I ever going to use this in life? Because if you haven't lived life, or if you haven't been in that role, you're not necessarily going to know what you need and what you don't need, right? All you know is what you're supposed to know. And you might know what you're supposed to know. But that internship, like not only is it an opportunity to like validate learning and to apply knowledge and information, it's also an opportunity and experience to grow. And it can also provide a little bit of context as to like if that's truly the path industry that you want, or if you want to pivot or do something different. So in that, there's a the beginnings of a working understanding, or there's the beginnings of applying some deep soul knowing. And then with the Eight of Wands, it can either cause things to like accelerate, or it can cause things to decelerate. And so there's almost this energy with pile one of like whatever you're going to be in this space of learning or developing or evolving, enhancing, applying, it feels like it's actually going to serve a greater purpose in the long run. Or it's going to prepare you for whatever lies in your blank spot. Because again, this Ten of Wands is feeling collaborative. It feels like there is a role that you have to play here. Now, this angel is all of the mutable signs: Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. You can see that on her sash. And it almost feels like she's like stopping time or stalling to give you time to adjust in whatever way you need to. Right? Because the Undine is like dredging up something, is releasing these deep waters, but Temperance is just like has it in recirculation mode, where it's just like cycling sort of back and forth. With the High Priestess here, sort of under that Scholar of Essences energy, there really isn't a certain set knowing, but it's also like it leaves an opportunity for discovery. Who's at the bottom? The Contender, Five of Wands, Five of Scepters, with the Chariot behind that. Saturn in Leo, trine Saturn in Sagittarius. This is that discovery, that Five of Wands. But it's interesting because it can be any kind of competition. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you might think it would be. There are many ways to learn a lesson. And we all learn things in different ways and at different speeds and to different degrees. But ultimately, it's for us to overcome. I guess if we so choose. There is also an energy of accountability in this card because so many of the hands are pointing at another hand. But with the closed fists almost feel like the buck stops here type of energy. And it does feel like there is some kind of gift, ability, or some level of interaction that you have with the universe that you might not necessarily fully be aware of. And that's it's coming through in these snakes and the mages. It's like your energy, your electromagnetic toroidal field interacts with the world in a certain way, regardless of how aware you are of it. And the stronger that field, the more sort of like influence you have. But there's a super conscious element to this as well. Maybe with this Eight of Wands, though, it is like the divine can put the brakes on it because the spirit, the one above, the more divine of the two, is the one that has Medusa's shield that can turn something to stone. It's like um, when you're a student driver and there's also like a brake on the passenger seat so the instructor can stop the car if they need to. This came out before. Was this Leo season? I remember this. The Magus and the Reaper. Because the light shines the same way. And it was like it came out as the Reaper, but there was an opportunity to turn it into the Magus, right? The angel is what came out here. I guess it would be that way. And the clarification. Mercury Mercury rules both birth Virgo and Gemini. Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini. Sagittarius rules Pisces and Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. Pisces is missing here. Both Gemini, because like all the mutable signs in the angel, right? As like the angel that's sort of holding this space while we learn whatever. Mercury gives us both Gemini and Virgo at the same time. And there's a lot of Sagittarian energy, but there's no Pisces here. The closest we get to Pisces is the Knight of Cups, which can be mutable water Pisces. There's also Saturn and Leo here. It feels like the Saturn connection between the Saturn trine between Leo and Sagittarius. It feels like it can give an approximation for Pisces. Because Pisces and Sagittarius are co-ruled by Jupiter, right? So it's like Sagittarius is the other side of the Jupiterian coin of Pisces. Leo, the part of Leo that is all about like the vision and the dream and the one that like chases it or the one that seeks the fulfillment of it is very Piscean. Like that aspect of Leo in particular. So it feels like Saturn is picking on particular aspects of the energy to try to approximate something. And if you're going to have a planet do it, Saturn would be the planet to do it. I think Mercury would also be a good like second planet because of its mercuriality. But Saturn would be a good one. And I was thinking that like the thing itself, Res Ipsa, would be is what like is the collaborative effort, but the collaborative effort might be like approaching that Piscean energy. And it feels like a natural Pisces energy wouldn't even necessarily help in this case scenario and situation for pile one. Because like Pisces is already in it. Now, if it's a Pisces that's in it where it needs to be, great. But Pisces is so vast and just as easily. I feel like Piscean energy might not necessarily get lost in the swirl of Neptune, but it probably wouldn't have the focus. You know what I mean? It'd be like Gemini, like all over the place. Mercurial. It would be mercurial. There's definitely this energy is interesting because again, all three of those cards at the bottom, like none of their eyes are shown. They're either blindfolded, wearing a mask, or wearing a helmet with the visor down. And so it almost implies a certain lack of awareness of one's surroundings. But I think that's actually good. It's almost the sensory deprivation energy. It gets you to go within. Not only does it get you to go within, it's like it teaches you to navigate the external via an internal instinct. Or like seeing the external through the internal. And so it's almost like it feels through the energy rather than following the manifestation and the visage, the facade of that energy. And because of that, it gets at least a little closer to the truth. And because of that, this energy becomes a contender that is very like a worthy contender, a contender that's not easily defeated, because you can't change the external reality, you can't change the circumstances in a way to get that one to see or perceive anything differently, because it goes based off of the energy of it, not the way that it appears. It's like it has x-ray vision, basically. So it can always see to the core of the thing. There's also an incredible amount of balance here because of this. Because first we start with the magician that has all four elements present, but also because of the mutability here. So it's like all four elements in flux, all four elements in motion. They're not fixed like the world card energy, and they're not cardinal like the chariot. Because here in the cart or in the chariot, you can see Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer, the cardinal signs behind this contender. They're mutable because it's in a state and a position of flux. I would say in this energy, though, be careful of what you sort of like. Um, be careful of what you fixate on, maybe, and how you go about it. Because this, like the blindfold mask helmet, feels very much like a double-edged sword. On the plus side, it gets you to see almost like behind the scenes, gives you a peek behind the veil. But it feels like there's some kind of fixation that might not necessarily be super, super helpful. Or maybe it's just because it's navigating that in between space. So good luck, Pot One. That's what you get. You got this. I've been seeing some, like a few tweets on Twitter that's like, it's like somebody tell God that I'm not one of his tougher warriors because I can't keep doing this or something like this. Because, you know, all the sayings that like God gives his most challenging and difficult whatevers to his strongest and toughest warriors, are to those who are like, he'll never give us more than we can bear type of energy. And they're like, somebody tell him that, like, I'm not as strong as you think I am. But for you, Pile One, there is a little bit again, like discovery is also a part of that. So. Ooh, ooh. Oh, come on. Excuse me. I'm at 14 cents. I can't wait to get to $1 and donate it. Oh, come on. Darn it. I dropped a card. Oh, am I going to be able to get it? Oh, come on. Ooh. That's the. Oh, come on. I got it. I got that card. There. Oh, ow. It's the Archangel of Healing. The Archangel of Healing was at the cut with the Journeyman, Eight of Pentacles. So. For Marco Polo series. Excuse me. That's what I'm here for. Yawns and quarter, eighth of a screen appearances and Saturn. I'm eclipsing whatever this is. I typically eclipse it. Oh. The Archangel of Mysteries is at the bottom of the deck with that Archangel of Healing. That's very much so the master number path in that one video. It was like around the Fiction the Clovers. Something being revealed. Okay. We are nice and shuffled. Ooh, excuse me, pile 2. We're going to call you 3145 if I can type this quick enough. Timestamps in the description box to create chapters in the video. Okay. So, your first 3, the Erudite, Apocalypse, and the Dynasty. And then your bottom card is the Defector. With New World Order behind that. So where pile 1 was majority mutable energy, yours is fixed. With the New World Order at the bottom. Bait. It might be. Excuse me. So the Erudite is the Hermit. Apocalypse is Judgment. Dynasty is the 10 of Orbs. Mercury and Virgo. Virgo, Mercury and Virgo. Bottom of the deck is Saturn and Pisces. Saturn and Pisces opposing Mercury and Virgo. This is interesting because there was a reading I did recently and I used, I feel like it was the Gilded Tarot. No. It was the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. And the tree came out and the void was filled in the tree. The rainbow went through it. There's this flower blossoming in the void here. In the Dynasty. Where the Alpha and Omega sits in the world. Are in Apocalypse. The Defector is the 8 of Cups. And that's chilling at the bottom of the deck. With, is that Thoth? It might be Thoth. I think that's Thoth. I saw a Thoth statue recently. Let's see. Let me check the book. We'll just say it's Thoth. It's giving Thoth energy today. Oh, Hermit of the Mysteries. And the Archangel of Mystery, I thought that was from pile one. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it bridges. Oh, the top card slid off of the deck, and I mentioned it for pile one. That would have been the Erudite, the Hermit. Luke's ex Tenebris, light from darkness. And then in this apocalypse, we see those beams of light shooting off everywhere. From all over this tree of life. Let's. Excuse me. I like that the Erudite is facing away from Apocalypse. Well, do I like that? I don't know if I like it or not. I was gonna say I like it because it's like it's not okay, Holly. It's not focused on like the doom and gloom or whatever of the apocalypse. But after the apocalypse is dynasty. So then that brings an energy of like trying to avoid a tower moment. It's like trying so badly to avoid a tower moment that we don't allow what needs to change to be changed. And because that change never happens, the star that comes after the tower never comes either. There's a certain healing that never happens, or there's a wish that never gets fulfilled because of the aversion to the tower. And in this, something is blossoming in the void. Who was it? Oh, I thought somebody texted me. And maybe that's what this defector is about. Because the defector is walking in the direction of the dynasty, but to do that, it has to go through this apocalypse. I think there's another message here too about because between the apocalypse and the dynasty, like there's all this energy being exerted like outward, coming off out of all these beams of light, right? But it feels like to get this flower to bloom, it all needs to be directed and focused like inward, but in a way that's not the hermit. Because the hermit has more of a like a four of pentacles energy where it doesn't participate, it doesn't give, it doesn't really show up for anybody but itself. It's separate, it's isolated. So let's see. Clarity. Oh, snap. Okay. Oh, okay. So the keeper came out on top of the erudite and the defector. Like this is the erudite, this is the defector on the table. They're sitting like that. Well, there's a little bit more space. It's like that. And it came out like this. The keeper, there are three fools in the SKT. The initiate, which is as it sounds, the new one. The seeker, which is not completely new to the journey, but they hit a spot where they need more information because they get a little stuck. And then there's the keeper. The keeper is the one that has completed the journey, knows all the ins and outs of the magician, the empress, the high priestess, the emperor, death, the star. Like the major arcana is the fool's journey through life and through self self-realization, self-actualization, and then through like showing up in the world as an actualized realized self that participates to whatever degree within that um, devil, tower, star, moon, sun judgment world, right? So basically, the keeper is the one that learns or takes everything they need from the magician to the world and then shows up and is able to do and be all of that. Welcome back. Now, our friend the sharpshooter has made another appearance, but this is the Vitruvian sharpshooter. So we don't see whoever with the shield of Medusa up at the top. It's just our sharpshooter. And she came, like, these cards fell down here, so she's pointing up to the keeper. Oh my gosh, look what's behind the sharpshooter. It's the contender again. And behind the contender is the high priestess. So we've seen all three of these cards in pile one. If you came here, maybe there's something for you if you're curious. This is Mercury in Sag, Saturn in Leo. So Mercury in Sag squaring the Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Virgo. That's a T square. So its relief would be in Gemini, which is the lovers, but also the magician because of Mercury. So there's a certain decisiveness in it. This self reflection, though, that's important. That's what the hermit contributes. The hermit contributes like this knowing of self. But again, like something about this energy doesn't feel isolated or separate. It doesn't feel necessarily like non-interferal, but non-interferal in the way where like it doesn't really participate in anything. Bottom of the deck is the bread of life. Ace of Pentacles. So definitely between Apocalypse and the Dynasty, it's like there's a focus on creating in the space that's being created. It's the creation cycle after destruction. Um, however, with the contender and the high priestess, this feels like a lot of challenge or a lot of obstacles that can present itself if there's like a certain thing that you want to do. Because it's holding the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Wands being inspiration, being sort of like, the phallic, whatever, phallic being masculine, meaning like more action oriented. That's why it's a competition. Whoever's action sort of like went out over the others, right? And this comes behind this like Eight of Wands. So there's a very much so like it's not, it feels like feel on your toes more so than like think on your toes, because with the high priestess it is definitely more of an intuitive element rather than like an air element. But I think through all of this, like it's going to be important for you to know who you are and to be connected to that truth of who you are. So it's basically time for the hermit to reintegrate with society. But it's like while you were hermiting, like every every is kind of strong. Like if there are things about the world at large, if there are things about society, or if there are things about your local community that you didn't necessarily like that might have caused you to harm it, it's like it's being an agent of change within that environment as you reintegrate into it. And your energy might do at least some of that for you, and it'll ease the process on some of that other stuff. So the five that's here in the five of wands, like it feels like you are the five that brings change. But it's again, it feels like it's going to be so important for you to be connected to yourself. And it might be because it could be really easy to lose sight of what's important to you. There is also like a pretty big sort of like mystical element to this that I'm just not going to get into because I don't know what it is. There's just like the thought here, and because it is the keeper, like all of the high priestess, magician, star, justice, strength. Well, strength is a little more. It feels like there's like all of the subtle elements have also been learned, both the subtle feminine and the more the less subtle, the more in your face, the more observable. Masculine have been mastered with that. Also, with the blossoming of the void, the flower from the void, because of the manipulation of light. I almost wonder if there was like a black hole energy that sucked in a lot of stuff. And it's almost like if you can figure out how to reverse the flow on a black hole, you can get a lot of light out of it that you don't necessarily have to create. It's like energy, right? It's like that black hole can be a battery, basically. That it can be a generator that can power stuff for a pretty long while because of all the light that it sucked up. And so maybe that is related to something that you'd have to learn to do within yourself. Because it's like you invert the polarity on your internal black hole before you can invert the polarity on an external black hole. You know what I mean? Luke's ex tenebris, light from darkness. Literally, it's like liberating the light from a black hole. And that's definitely some keeper level whatever. And again, it's like the keeper is here. It feels like to signify that like there's something that you do because we are the fool. The majors are like universal energies that we learn from every step of the way. The keeper is the one that learned every step of the way. Not only did she learn, she can put it into play, put it into practice. So it's kind of sort of given the energy of that Knight of Cups, the scholar of essences. But since it's the keeper, it's feeling more practiced than just like interning. It's a very almost like Eight of Pentacles energy, but it's beyond the Eight of Pentacles. The journeyman was at the cut with that Archangel of Healing before the Archangel of Healing fell out of the deck with the Archangel of Mysteries at the bottom. And this erudite is the Hermit of the Mysteries. But I'll show you the journeyman, Eight of Pentacles, real quick. snap! You got three archangels together: Archangel of Healing, Archangel of Mysteries, Archangel Commander. And then it's Apocalypse. After these three archangels show up, the joined one, and then the Archangel of Glory. So after the Apocalypse, the Archangel of Glory joins these other three, and then you'll have all four archangels together. Again, maybe that's what liberates the light from the black hole or whatever. I don't know, bro. Whatever it is, it's reading like you got to face something. All right, where are you? Here it is. Yeah, I'll pull them. I'll pull the cards before and after the journeyman. Jupiter in Libra, Four of Swords. Jupiter in Leo, Six of Wands. Crap. It is the journeyman, but it's also, and I just saw this card. Oh, open right to it. It's also the Lovers. I guess I'll pull before and after the Lovers. Before the Lovers is Mars and Capricorn. After the Lovers is Aquarius. Three of Pentacles and a Star. See, that's your foundation. That's what you're working with. Off that healing. That's what you like. Because I was like, you got to liberate you have to liberate the light from your own internal black hole before you can liberate the light from an external black hole. This is like you working with everything that you learned in liberating the light from your internal black hole to like hack into an external black hole and liberate the light from that anyway. It's this. So in the Lovers, you see the 10th orb in this tree over here. And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, let's say. And then here's the tree of life over here, right? In Apocalypse, that last orb is in your hands. So somebody went after that fruit. It feels a lot less temptation-y. And it is the bottom one, right? Because that one would go right here. That's Malkut. And it's in your hands. And this ties back to the journeyman because this is the beginning of like, it's not like resting in your palm or in the palm in the journeyman, but in the journeyman, it's like it's working up to that sort of energy. So there's definitely, it feels like with the Four of Swords and the Six of Wands, there's a healthy level of pride here. And it's around the Eight of Pentacles. It's like, because it's like, you worked hard for something and you don't have to downplay your gifts, abilities, or whatever. Like, you earned it, you deserved it. And it doesn't matter what other people think. Because it's like, if you have a job to do and you're the one who is knowledgeable or whatever, then speak up. I think that's where that Hermit challenge comes in. This is another one that it's kind of a double-edged sword-ish energy, but not as double-edged as the last one. Because the Hermit does feel like that non-participant, and it's not for you to be a non-participant. You might have to find out the way in which you participate, though. Because again, it's like with the Keeper, there's a balance. Like, the Keeper has mastered everything. So there's knowledge of the masculine, there's a knowledge of the feminine. And it's definitely putting it, or learning to put it into play. I would say that it would be a great time to It's this energy, and it's not every relationship between parent and child, but there's almost like we're used, like there's the relationship where the divine, where they are the parent and we are the baby, the toddler, the teenager, whatever. But when we become an adult, then our relationship with our parents change. When we reach a certain level of maturity, our relationship with the divine changes. And so I would say explore your connection and feel if anything has changed in any way. Or just explore the element of connection, period. And maybe that's another thing with the Virgo energy, the hermit energy, not Virgo, the hermit more specifically. Maybe it isn't that you're necessarily isolated. Maybe it is, though, that like the type of interaction or the level of interaction has changed. Like it's possible to get a lot more intimate now because of some increase in vulnerability. Oof. Well, there you go, too. Be proud of who you are and all that you've accomplished. Pride is only dangerous in excess, like anything else. Right. It's like if you take gluttony, for example, like we all got to eat. Like you have to be nourished. But when you eat to the point of like an extreme, that's when it becomes a problem of gluttony. We all need to rest. We all need to relax. We all need to rejuvenate and give our minds, our spirits, and our bodies the time that they need to recuperate. But to an extreme, it becomes sloth. And I feel like there isn't, it feels like that pride ego is like very extremized. But it's like there should be a certain level of pride within oneself. Now, like, that doesn't have to be like your entire personality. You know what I mean? But that part was also important. And again, with that four of swords, I feel like that four of swords balanced out that six of wands. So it's like you can be chill. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily humble brag energy, um, but it's just like knowing who you are and what you're worth and what you're capable of. And other people will do they'll do their part. You do your part. Boom. Oh, almost forgot the timestamp. Thank you, Holly. I'll say 58:45 for pile three. 58:45. Oh, wow, I'm early. I'm like, I guess we'll just sit here for a second. We'll sit here for about 7 more seconds. I'll give this another shuffle. The Archangel of Healing at the cut with the Force. I love the Archangel of Healing with the Force because this is an energy that doesn't have anything to prove. So when it exerts force, it exerts force from a healthy place. It's not it's not one of those toxic, nasty, overcompensating sort of things. So pile three. Ooh, starting with the eminence, Venus and Virgo. Hold up, wait, what was the last one? Mercury and Virgo? It had to be Mercury and Virgo then. Should be this one right here. Yeah, that's Mercury and Virgo. Mercury and Virgo is the dynasty. Venus and Virgo is the eminence, Nine of Pentacles. The Hallowed Flame and the Chancellor. Bottom of the deck is the joyous one. Venus and Virgo oppose Mars and Pisces. Oh, look, the Force. With the Force. The Force is behind the joyous one. I will take that. The Archangel Commander is behind the Force. Perfect. The Archangel of Getting Ish Done, aka Michael. So here's your Nine of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Justice, the Eminence, the Hallowed Flame, the Chancellor. Bottom of the deck is your Joyous One and your Force, the Force. Again, Venus and Virgo oppose Mars in Pisces. Mars in Pisces is a really great energy. Mars in Pisces, at least for me, it's literally the action that is required to make a dream a reality. Like Pisces can dream all day long, but if Pisces doesn't do anything to make those dreams a reality, then what's the point? That's when a Pisces can like fall heavy into escapist tendencies, including any substance or activity that one would use to escape reality. Escape reality back into the dream, only for the contrast between the dream and the reality to be made even more stark. And it can become a vicious, self toxic cycle of never doing anything to actually change reality to make it any closer to the dream. But again, Mars in Pisces is the action that's required to make that a reality. So, love of Mars in Pisces. Love of Mars in Pisces, sextiling of Mars in Capricorn. Venus in Virgo is interesting because Venus in Virgo almost feels kind of Piscean. I don't know. Just like Mars and Pisces can feel kind of Virgonian. Can feel. Oh, and then Leo is here in the Force. Libra is here. Libra, Leo, fire. I'm going to go right for the clarifiers. The title card tried to almost. Ooh, jump out. Okay, well, well, the title card is officially out. So first it was just like sticking out, and then it flipped all the way over. So, oh, okay. The sharpshooter again. Eight of Wands energy. Mercury in Sagittarius with New World Order behind the sharpshooter. Again, New World Order. So, the title card was like sticking out of the deck. Archangel of Mysteries is the first card that flipped over. And then there's the title card. And then, and then the star. Archangel of Mysteries, title card, the star. This looks like the star liberated. Like when it's inside of this cage, it's only like a pinnacle. But when it's outside, it's a star. This cancels the light of the star. And that's interesting because that's an energy of something that's very, very easy to overlook. If it was outside of the cage, you would see it as the star because even the blind would see it as a star. Because of the light, because of the heat, because of the everything that it gives off. But when it's in the cage, it can be easy to miss by anybody. And it's interesting because that brings in a certain energy of like leveling the playing field. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily possible to be more abled than someone else in this situation. or at least it's not possible to be born that way. And because of that, this almost feels like it's more related to something that is for one to acquire within a lifetime, more so than like a gift that you could have been born with. You know what I mean? Because all gifts to a certain extent can be developed. Some people are born with certain some gifts, just like on. But this again, it feels like something that's to be acquired within this lifetime. That's what levels the playing field. Now, because of the situations of your birth and your raising, maybe you've had experiences that'll make it easier for you to reach this point in space. Maybe you've had experiences that, well, the healer is here, the star is here, and that healing energy is afforded to everybody. So again, it's another one that kind of like evens the playing field. It's very like even, but not, but it is at the same time because we all have the resources to be able to get there. This one is interesting though. The Nine of Pentacles is an energy of abundance. The Ace of Wands can be very exciting. But to like terminate in the Chancellor, to terminate injustice after an Ace of Wands, it's like you don't want to do too much. You don't want to be too extravagant. You don't want to be like go too far overboard. This almost feels like a trap, but it feels like a trap because it in some way plays on human nature. And I say that because you have the Nine of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands, which feels like you would want to get the 10th Pentacle, which feels like it can be very easy to devote a lot of energy, time, attention, and effort to getting that 10th Pentacle, to attaining or achieving some kind of physical wealth centric status. But the Chancellor is coming here. It's that energy in the Bible where I'm pretty sure it's Jesus, and he's like, it's easier to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven, or a rich woman, for a rich person to make it into heaven. It's easier to pass a whole camel through the eye of a needle than for that to happen. And there are many reasons for that. Now, what I do like about the energy that came out of the Vitruvian edition, it's this star. I love this star for this energy because it feels like the star is the medicine for that rich person. It feels like there's a void or there's something that the star feels that money and stuff won't fill. And that's when we come down into the joyous one, 10 of Cups, and the force, strength, the tamed lion. Because it's not about the stuff anymore. And it feels like that's what liberates this last pinnacle from its prison. Now it's interesting because, again, it feels like inside it's just a piece of earth, outside it's this whole star. But then in the Revelations strength card and the Revelations force, we see the sun rising in the back. This sun feels like pile three, especially when they're operating under the Chancellor. That is pile three. The Ace of Wands with the Chancellor, that's this sun energy back here. In a tempered strength way, but I think it's coming out more of the force because it's to be brighter. So the energy of tempered strength is to give as much as necessary to the degree that is necessary and the time that it is necessary. And it feels like all of that as necessary energy, it can be easy to hold this connotation of like not too bright, not too strong, not too powerful. But because it's the force, it is very bright, it is very strong, it is very powerful, and it's exactly what's needed. That's the thing here. So it still is tempered strength. But it feels like it's appearing as full strength because that's, again, like that's the degree that is needed. There's also a thread in this. It's very like your needs will be taken care of. And so you don't necessarily have to worry about the money or the pentacles. Now, you not having to worry about the pentacles doesn't necessarily mean that like you won't have a 9 to 5 job. Because I don't know what area of life your sun shines in. Like if you're a 10th house sun or a 6th house sun, like I think the 10th house is a house of careers and like the 6th house is still a working house. So like, it's not necessarily like a 5th house sun where like maybe your ends are met through an alternate means, a more creative and artistic means, right? If you get one of the boring houses, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Sorry. That wasn't necessary. But it's like, I don't know. And it can be different for any number of people who watch this. Some of them, you probably won't have to work a 9 to 5. Your needs will be met in other ways. But what would like unite anybody who picks this pile? I would say it's a sense of purpose, but I don't know if that's because purpose is like a low hanging fruit in this energy. Because I don't necessarily read purpose in these cards. Fulfillment is definitely here though, and that can be related to purpose, I guess. The thing that fulfills you, the thing that excites you, the thing that motivates you, sparks you the most. So yeah, I guess purpose is here. What's interesting is though, because of pile one, there's an interesting layer that comes in here where the snakes aren't coiled around the person. And because the snakes aren't coiled around the person, it feels like there may be times or instances where like you are to have, it's like to be hands off. There's nothing that you add, there's nothing that you contribute, there's nothing that you have to offer because of Maybe it's like because of what someone else has to learn. Or maybe it's just not something that's for you to do. And again, that goes back to tempered strength. This is a very, very strong tempered strength. But you can have a very, very not present tempered strength too. If it's for you to give nothing to a situation, to no degree, and ever, never, then your tempered strength from the outside appears to be absent. But you're giving exactly as much as is needed and required for you to give, which is nothing. Justice is here. The chancellor is here. You'll know the balance. And I think it's almost like the more, because of the Nine of Pentacles here, and in some ways the Ten of Cups, it's like the more that you can find to be grateful for, it's almost like the less pressure you'll put on like accruing money, getting money. Because again, like Nine of Pentacles, Ace of Wands can very easily tend to like trying to get that 10th pentacle, almost to the point of becoming the Four of Pentacles. But the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups aren't necessarily harmonious energies. You know what I mean? Because the Ten of Pentacles is like, it's the love and caring family, it's open, it's vulnerable, it's like deep connections. And the Four of Pentacles, and especially in a more negative connotation, in its shadow aspect, it's hoarding, it's greedy, it gives nothing. So how can you like give nothing but have such deep and intimate relationships? Somebody is overgiving if that's the case. And that's not this tempered strength energy. That's not justice. So maybe that's what this is too, with the star and the archangel of mysteries, the healer. Maybe some days you're full shine healer. Maybe some other days you're low key, separate and isolated. Again, it's whatever is appropriate. And determining that level of appropriateness that's a you thing. Um, I feel like I want to get a little bit more just to like wrap this up. Archangel of Healing at the bottom of the deck now, with the healer right here. Ooh, the Vagabond and the Dynasty. This is Mercury in Taurus trine, Mercury in Virgo, the 5 and the 10 of Pentacles. And just like Pile 1 had the 5 and the 10 of Wands. 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. There you go, see? So you have Venus. Oh, wait. That's a sextile, though. So Mercury and Taurus sextiling Mars and Pisces. Trining Mercury and Venus and Virgo. But that Mars and Pisces would also oppose this Mercury and Virgo. Because of this, it feels like there's an energy of like finding favorable aspects, right? Or it's almost like a energetic like connection points. And I can't even think of like a real life metaphor for that. Um, well, I guess it's like if you have to draw up 100 signs, like if your task is 100 signs, maybe you can print them a lot quicker than like writing them out. Or you can find 99 people to help you, and everybody only has to do one. It's like finding an alternate means to meet the same end that is it's less of an obstacle. And that's specifically in this Mercury. It's like instead of dealing with Mercury in Virgo opposing Mars in Pisces, it's like if you can use that trine to shift Mercury into Taurus, then you'll have a sextile to that Mars in Pisces. And the sextile is a lot easier to work with than that opposition. And in that way, it would almost literally be creating opportunities in the space of opposition, turning opposition into an opportunity, turning an opposition into a sextile. And it's Mercury, so that it's all mental. Not all mental, but it's at least a bit mental. It is interesting though that fixed Earth Taurus would be more harmonious to Piscean energy than mutable Earth Virgo. And I think that's because it's like it's easier to know what to change. It's easier to know the effect of change when you limit how many things change at one time. That's why if you're doing an experiment, you don't change every single variable at the same time. Because when your number goes up or down, how do you know which change was the one that correlates to the result that you see? If you change one thing at a time, you know which factors, which variables, which elements are important in affecting the outcome and which ones aren't. So you're not always changing 15 things trying to get something to happen. If you can narrow it down to like one, two, or three, you've cut your workload down significantly. Now you're printing 100 signs rather than like writing them out. Right. I think there's also an energy here, just like when that tempered strength was like, maybe there are some instances, some situations, some whatevers that it's not for you to give anything to necessarily because it's for the person, the people, the things to figure out themselves. With this Five of Pentacles in the dynasty, maybe the same was true for you. It's important for you to be confident enough within yourself and capable and able enough within yourself that if you get a vision, if you get a download, if you receive whatever, that you feel confident enough in realizing that. Again, that's the Mars and Pisces, making that a reality, bringing it to fruition. And maybe that's something that you wouldn't have known that you're capable of doing if you always received everything. It's like maybe you were put in a Five of Pentacles space to ultimately someday end up in the 10. But you end up in the 10 in this read because of what you contribute. Again, it's that energy of like when you're acting, when you're in like your purpose or whatever, will be provided for. But purpose is different again. So somebody else being in their purpose might not look like you being in your purpose. And it's fuzzy, at least over here. Now, if you can talk to spirit directly and the spirit tell you you ain't got to do whatever, then hey, that's on them. I ain't saying it. Because I ain't gonna have y'all mad at me when you supposed to be taking it as it resonates anyway, and not as you want it to resonate. Although desire is powerful, and desire met with some other things can be just as whatever as anything else. I would say with that five pentacles and 10 of pentacles, though, it's not to be made bitter. And that might be another challenge in this energy. But the star is here and the 10 of cups is here. The 5 of pentacles may present a challenge to like accepting it, though, because humaning can be difficult. It can be hard. Change can be difficult. Accepting that our previous experiences don't have to be all that we'll ever experience can be not easy to fathom, especially if we haven't yet begun to experience different, or if we haven't allowed ourselves to yet begin experiencing any different. So, all in all, these were altogether pretty Captain Planet, if you ask me. And by that, it's like when he's like, the power is yours. And then he separates into water, earth, fire, and heart. Looting and polluting is not the way. When I say the power is yours and then the Archangel Commander pop out, oof. I'm going to say 126.40 for last shuffle. Oh. Come on. So what I already said, 126.30. Is that what I said? That's what my brain remember. Or was it 136.40? No, 126.30 is fine. Archangel Commander, the power is yours. Bottom of the deck is the stronghold of the Zephyrs. Stronghold of the Zephyrs is interesting for the Archangel Commander because the stronghold of the Zephyrs would be the one to report to the Archangel Commander that you're more than capable. And it's funny because I think it was before I got into these, or somewhere along the way, it was like God gives his most challenging and difficult whatevers to his strongest of warriors. And everybody on Twitter, like, tell him I'm not that strong. The Eminence, the 9 of pentacles, that's the message of this. And the 5 of pentacles, or the 5 of wands, is behind it. I love the Eminence for this because this is you confident within yourself. You don't have to compete with anybody or anything. And that is what makes winning even easier. You always win when you're not in competition with anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, how could you lose? You're not playing the game. But yeah, the slightly oof part of that is that, like, it feels like Archangel Commander might be a little bit more like, oh, you got this. You don't need any help. I could intervene, but I believe in you. You have proven yourself to be very capable. Maybe more capable than you know. Maybe it's time for you to see how capable you are. Ooh. We can have fun with these lessons. Meanwhile, you're like, meanwhile, if you're me, you might be like, or you could just like do it for me so I don't have to. Please. I'm a Pisces. I can't do anything for myself. I need you to do it for me. Are Pisces really like that? Because I feel like Pisces ain't really like that. But anytime somebody on YouTube, like, let me tell you what I don't like about your sign. People always like, oh, Pisces act like they don't know how to do anything. I mean, to be fair though, maybe I just attribute it more to my Taurus laziness, my Taurian laziness. Because there are times where I'm like, if I ain't got to do it or somebody else can do it, then let them do it, sweetie. Dreaming is exhausting. Look at that. The force at the cut. With the ebony shield, sanctum of treasures. Ooh, the force with the sanctum of treasures. That's interesting. Who's that? Pollute? Oh, polka dot. Polka dot. Okay. I'll give you a few more shuffles. Oh, nope. It's the Herald of the Earth. The Herald of the Earth with the bird in mind. Oh my gosh, it's Atlas. If you know, you know. And none of you know. If you know about Atlas, then you gotta be a very specific person who should not be here. Excuse me. Okay, that's fine. That's a very fair assessment. I can't, but my mom can. I think her momness outweighs her Piscesness. Because I'd be like, I can't see it. And then she'll be like, it's right there. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it wasn't there when I looked. All right. What, did you just make that materialize out of thin air? Oh. Ooh. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So the Ivory Shield and the Archangel of Healing came out. The queens are shields, the kings are the archangels. So the king and queen of cups basically came out. But it's the Archangel of Healing and her shield. The bottom of the deck is the Herald of the Waters, which is the Page of Cups. King, Queen, Page of Cups. What's this? Oh, there were pages at the bottom of both of these. Our message is it the Knight of Cups? It's the Gardener. So it feels like this speaks of initiations, but it's initiations to like strengthen one's foundation with that Gardener energy. Saturn and Taurus. Inspire the prodigy. Angel who saps and purifies, sanctum of the immaculate. Inspire the prodigy with the gardener here. The gardener is an energy that by default creates based off of everything that it's experienced or everything that it's felt or everything it's already desired. It feels like this Page of Cups is here to broaden the horizons of that gardener. But the gardener also brings an element of practicality to the Page of Cups. So it feels like, in a way, they assist each other. But the emphasis is on this Page of Cups. So maybe it's almost like the better you get at seeing the correlation between the energetic and the manifestation of the energetic, aka the spiritual and the physical, the etheric and the physical, the intangible and the tangible. It feels like it's deepening that understanding to a point where something, it's like you go beyond the shield of the Queen of Cups to receive the Holy Grail and the Archangel of Healing. Basically, you learn how to dream bigger in a certain number of words. And not only do you learn how to dream bigger, you also learn that, um, like, it can be more than just a dream. It can be reality. That's what the gardener is bringing. It. That Seven of Pentacles is bringing the energy of like watering the seed, but it's actually seeding the water because it's already watery. So it's seeding the water in order to get whatever. So thank you, Holly, for being here. I will now go to sleep. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And if you're not, I hope you have a better one. And I hope you get some act right. I'm just I hope that you receive whatever you need to feel comfortable and confident enough to start moving in a direction that you know or feel will bring you closer to the realization of that thing. You know what I mean? So, I'll catch you when I catch you. Good night.